this, and this wasn't the video I had planned on doing today, but I figured I would do it anyways because it kind of miffed me when I found this out. A lot of people have already heard about this, so it's nothing new, but I figured I would throw my 2 cents into it. The WWE is apparently changing some of the pay-per-views this year, dropping one. Yay! There's one down. We just need a few more to go away, and we'll be good. Instead, they're going and replacing some others, and therein lies the problem. Backlash will now be no more. This kind of bugs me because Backlash, usually is a very good pay-per-view, but now they've decided to replace it with Extreme Rules, which, Extreme Rules is not a very good concept when you're doing PG. I've defended the fact that, I don't think PG is complete garbage like some people do. But at the same time, if you're going to do PG, you can't do an entire pay-per-view around gimmick matches. It doesn't work. It doesn't work at all unless you're going to lift the PG thing for this one show, which they don't do. So why do it? It's stupid. That really kind of annoys me. Then we're getting they're getting rid of Judgment Day, and that is now going to be called Wild Card, which might or may not be like the what they did at the Vegas show, like the Vegas Raw thing where it was you spun the wheel type thing. Might end up being that, which that could be interesting, I guess. Then Extreme Rules One Night Stand, they're just that got moved, so that pay-per-view is now gone. Good, in favor of Backlash. Then the Bash, which has been usually extremely terrible since they brought it back, is now going to be called Fatal 4-Way. Great name for a pay-per-view. Then Night of Champions will now be called. Well, that'll be the last one I'm talking about. They're going to turn Breaking Point into Night of Champions, and Night of Champions, or Night of Champions will now be called Money in the Bank. And this is what I have a problem with. So basically what the WWE is saying, it looks like, we're not going to get Money in the Bank at WrestleMania. That is crap. I don't like that idea. I think that idea is bad. I think that idea is all sorts of bad. Money in the Bank is almost always guaranteed to be a great match at WrestleMania. I know there are people, maybe not a lot of people, I imagine that there's enough people out there that order WrestleMania just to see Money in the Bank. It's kind of become a tradition. Really the only guy that hasn't been elevated winning Money in the Bank was Mr. Kennedy, and that was because of his own dumb fault. But other than that, everybody else, Punk was elevated the first time, probably not as good as we had hoped, but he was elevated, definitely elevated the second time, and Rob Van Dam, of course, was definitely kind of elevated until the stuff happened with him, and Edge, of course, was elevated as well. So I would definitely say that the gimmick works. I can't see an entire pay-per-view around the gimmick. I've seen some people say, oh, well, what if it's, a tournament? Which I'm like, so you're going to have guys wrestle twice maybe on a show and then have to wrestle the final match in a, ladder match, which to me just is, you're asking guys to do too much. I mean, that should just be the one match that they do. On top of that, they like to put, I think it's important to put those guys that are probably not going to be on WrestleMania. I mean, WrestleMania is the show where it's going to be main eventer, probably one big storyline match, and then you have a bunch of guys who are probably upper mid-card guys, even though I don't think there's enough of those in the WWE right now, which is one of the problems. Guys that we definitely see in our minds as upper mid-card guys, as guys that are going to be in that match. And on that match, and get to kind of showcase themselves in front of the biggest buy rate that the WWE does every year. That, to me, is a pretty big deal, as opposed to putting on a pay-per-view where you're probably, if you're lucky, you're going to get half of that buy rate. You're probably going to get a third of that buy rate. And I don't think that is as effective as getting guys, making guys look like stars, all of that sort of thing. I just don't think that works, and it just annoys, not only because I'm going to be there, which I am going to be there for this WrestleMania, but not just because of that, because this looks like it's going to be a pretty stacked WrestleMania anyways. But taking this match out of WrestleMania, to me, just it seems like you're cutting off your nose to spite your face. I don't see where it's going to work. And on top of that, you have the chance of, I have a bad feeling you're going to get like legit main eventers in the Money in the Bank match, which to me is not what the Money in the Bank match has been used for. It's not been, and why use it for that? One of my gripes with the Money in the Bank is that there aren't, enough guys that people see as main eventers, and people always just want to see the guys who would be good in a ladder match. I think that is to me is kind of not good. Last year I thought Mark Henry did really good in Money in the Bank. I think that the stuff that he did was something different. I think when Kane has been in there, some of the stuff he's done, because he's a big guy in one of those matches, I think it's something different, and I think it's something that's good. I think that getting the guys that need to be in there, because it's the guys that you say, okay, these are the guys that you can see that should be in that role. I think that's the important thing. But I just don't agree with that. I think that's that to me is just really, really kind of wow. It just really, really surprises me in a lot of ways. So I hope we still get Money in the Bank at WrestleMania, and then they do an angle where it winds up being Money in the Bank again in July, as there's probably only a 1% chance we're going to see that happen, and it's probably a 99% chance we're going to see Money in the Bank not at WrestleMania. I feel, might be wrong. I hope it got improved wrong, but to me this is a bad decision. And it really makes me wonder what the WWE is thinking, particularly when they're naming these pay-per-views these stupid names. I mean, I can understand trying to give each pay-per-view kind of an identity, and that's fine. But you took No Way Out, which I think was an excellent pay-per-view, particularly if you're going to use the 2 Elimination Chambers. That's an excellent name for that pay-per-view. It's kind of like as soon as last year when they did No Way Out the first time, it was like, wow, No Way Out, that name finally makes sense, and then they do away with it. The name and just call it Elimination Chamber, which is, it works, but it's not all that great. But you're just going to have gimmick on top of gimmick on top of gimmick, which to me doesn't work. I think if you want to do that, you needed to do, good gimmicks. That's the thing. Like I said, you're going to do Extreme Rules instead of Backlash. The problem with that is that, the Extreme Rules matches aren't going to be what people want. You're going to have gimmick matches that, you can't really do a lot of great gimmick matches, I would say, because you're going to have to do, PG, and in some of those, you are going to have, blood. I think if you're going to do that, and then you're going to do Hell in the Cell later, it's different if you don't do the Extreme Rules, and then you wait, you do Hell in the Cell, and then you do maybe TLC later, and those are the only 2 that are like that, and then you don't have blood. I don't think it's a big deal. But if you're going to do, you're going to have 3 pay-per-views like that, I think then you're asking a little much, and then I think it's going to get a little weird. So that I would definitely have kind of an issue with, but just kind of the amazing heads at WWE. You wonder who thought this up, and kind of surprised that they thought this up, to be honest. But anyways, like I said, not the video I was going to do. I'll probably do it tomorrow, which should be fun. I think a lot of people will enjoy it. So anyways, with that, I'm out. Have a good one. Later.